Hi, welcome to part 3 of section 1.4, absolute value equations. Now we're going to solve equations that have two absolute value signs. So there's an absolute value sign here on the left, and then there's absolute value signs here on the right. And to solve that, we're going to make, again, two equations. So the first equation is going to be as is, without the absolute value marks. But the second equation, the left side is going to be as is, but the right side is going to be the opposite. So we're going to put parentheses around it and put that negative in front. The easiest way to show you how to do this is by giving you some examples. So here's an example. The absolute value of 2m plus 5 equals the absolute value of m. Okay, so now we have two absolute value marks. So let's just follow each of these examples here. So I'll do the first one. So the first example is just write the equation as is. So 2m plus 5 equals m. Okay, so there's the first one. Same exact thing, just get rid of the absolute value marks. And now let's collect like terms. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 2m from both sides. And don't forget there's a 1 here in front, right? Bring down the 5, and this is going to be negative 1m. And then I divide both sides by negative 1. And so m is going to equal negative 5. So that's one answer right there. Well, let's look at the second one. We're going to write the equation again. I'll do it in a different color. So 2m plus 5. But this time, the right side, I'm going to add this negative sign. So it's going to be negative m. Okay, so let's subtract 2m from both sides. That becomes 0. Bring down the 5. Negative 3m. Divide both sides by negative 3. And then m is going to equal a fraction, which is going to be negative 5 over 3. Okay, so let's do some more problems, and you'll get really used to it. All right. So let's just write the problem as is. So 3x minus 4 equals x without the absolute value marks. And then we're going to write it again. I'll do it in a different color. 3x minus 4, except the right side is now going to be negative. So it's going to be negative x. Okay, let's go back and solve this one here on the left. I'm going to add 4. I guess I just started that way. I didn't need to do that, but we'll continue. So 3x is going to equal x plus 4. And then we're going to subtract x from both sides. And that's going to be 2x is going to equal 4. Then we're going to divide both sides by 2, and x is going to equal 2. There's my first answer. Okay, now here on the right with the negative. So I'm going to do it a little different. I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Bring down the equal sign. I'm going to bring down this negative 4, and negative 1x and negative 3x makes negative 4x. Now I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. And so x is going to equal positive 1. Because negative 4 divided by negative 4 is positive 1. There are our two answers. Okay, so let's look at B now. And B is going to get a little bit more complicated. Move it out of the way so I got some space here. Okay, so here's why it's going to get complicated. It's going to get complicated because of this 2 that's here in front. That's why it's going to get complicated. Okay, so let's write the first equation. So we're going to write it as is without the absolute value marks. So 4x minus 10 equals 2. And now instead of absolute value marks, these are going to turn into parentheses. So 3x plus 1, which means that we're going to have to distribute this one. Okay, so let's just continue on this side. So 4x minus 10 is going to equal, distribute the 2 to each one, 6x plus 2. Let's collect like terms. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. Bring down the negative 10. This is going to be 2x plus 2. Now I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides to get rid of that. This is going to be negative 12 to equal 2x. And the last thing is I'm going to divide both sides by 2. So x is going to equal negative 6. Okay, there is one answer. Okay, now let's look at the next one. This is where it's going to get a little complicated. Okay, so I'm going to write the left side as is. 4x minus 10 equals. But let's take a look at the right side. This 2 is not inside the absolute value mark. So I'm going to leave that on the outside. But what's going to happen is this 3x plus 1 that's on the inside, that whole thing, so I'm going to have to put brackets, is going to have to be negative. So I'm going to add the negative right here. Oops. Let's change that. I'm going to add this negative right there to this entire piece. Okay, so now let's clean this up now. So 4x minus 10 is going to equal, so I'm going to do the inside of this, of the brackets first. 2 times, distribute that negative, so negative 3x minus 1. So now I'm going to distribute the 2, so bring down the 4x minus 10. It's going to be negative 6x minus 2. Okay, I'm going to add 6x to both sides here to make my variable positive. So this is going to cancel out. This is going to be 10x minus 10. Bring down the negative 2. I'm going to now add 10 to both sides because that's a 0. And so 10x is going to equal 8. I'm going to divide both sides by 10. And so x is going to equal 8/10, and that reduces to 4/5. Or if you want to write it as a decimal, that's fine too.